I wanted to build a little bit on kind of what I talked about yesterday. I don't know if you saw that video about, it can probably sound kind of a little bit strange talking about pyramids of death. And, the main point, that I was trying to make is kind of a contrast between believers, who and just worldly behavior, even by believers sometimes, because I think we're all guilty of it, when we take and cast our faith aside for a moment and we buy into the easy, you know, what we hear. It may not even be easy, right? It could be actually a struggle of some sort, but we buy into it because um, we get into this thought process that um, we're kind of a cowboy and we're going it alone, and don't Jesus isn't um, an ever present, and certainly not interactive, and we kind of like feel like somehow he lost his power, and it's like nothing be further from the truth, right? So I emphasize, that rather than falling trapped in the idea that prayer, for example, doesn't matter, that we should realize just how much it does matter. And so let me encourage some practical application to this, right? So, um, developing that attitude of prayer, uh, without ceasing, constant prayer, you're like, how is that even possible, But but that's exactly what Jesus wants us to do, is to be so close that we call on Him all the time, whenever. And I mean that. So you're like, you mean I'm about to go to the Department of Motor Vehicles. You want me to pray about that? Yes, I do. You say, well, I'm going to go pick up my kid from school. Should we be praying about that? Oh, absolutely. And of course, you're like, oh, I get it. You're telling me I need to pray for my child and all that. And it's like, well, yeah, yeah, I definitely mean that. But, pray for that guy that's ahead of you that's kind of a doofus in the line, going to the school. You're like, you just called someone a doofus. I'm like, yeah, what I'm trying to say is that sometimes in our spirit of anger or disappointment and behavior with regards to someone else, we forget it's like the difference between that person and the person behind the wheel of our car is none, right? So, uh, in either case, both people need that special close relationship to Jesus. They need to put their faith in Him. And so praying for Him, as weird as it may sound, if you're really angry, and you're like, God doesn't want me to start praying when I'm really, really upset. But you'll find that the prayer, whether it is something that affects the person in front of you or it affects you behind the wheel, does it really matter? I think so oftentimes we think about prayer as me directing, you know. I'm going to take my line of sights and I'm going to find, what I'm looking for. I'm going to zero in on it, and then I'm going to fire a prayer, directing at a particular location. And then God will guide the prayer missile to its destination. And then we don't know, you know, is the is the munition, is the ordnance going to blow up? Is it not? Maybe we don't know that. But at the same time, I'm thinking to myself, I think we lose the whole point. I don't think God needs us so much to try to be the guidance system. He wants to be the guidance system too. So, so prayer, and then that's kind of the main point, right? Because if you think your prayers are silly or whatever, it's because you figure that's not a valid target for prayer. And it's like God doesn't look at these things as targets. And he can see a bigger picture than you can. So even if there were some kind of targeting thing going on here, the only person that could possibly know all of that, from a broad overview perspective, is God himself, right? Not you. So that's why you should go ahead and pray for things that you say, well, that's a silly thing. No. Or God doesn't want to hear me right now because of my attitude or because of something I've just done. It's like, no, actually, it's kind of the opposite. It's like that's the very point where he's going to want to hear. Hey, I wanted to stop it right there because this is future Chris, and we got to a really good stopping point. So, anyway, until next time, I'll break this video up. Talk to you soon. Bye.